All right, guys, we have one more package, well, actually two more. So let's go ahead and get into it. Saws are so expensive these days, and sometimes they don't always hold up or they get stolen. So I bought a brand new Husqvarna, was it 372? And went to buy another one, and they were like over $1,000 or something. And I was like, man, that's just too much. I've got to get, and it's okay if you're the only one using your saws and everything's taken really good care of and they last like for years and years. But these days, a lot of things get stolen, a lot of things get broke, a lot of things get run over, and it's like, do you really want to spend $1,000 on something that's not going to last that long? So I decided to get my knockoff Husky in bar and chain, and it was like $250 or something. I'm like, how can they sell them that cheap? It's crazy. So I bought steel knockoffs. They're okay, but this one was wrapped really well. Very strong box. And all the parts are interchangeable. I'm going to turn this down so you can see what I'm doing here. You don't want to see me, you want to see the saw, right? There's the saw. 372 XT. You can even buy stickers that say Husqvarna if you want them. But there's the saw. Chain brake. Choke. Feels very similar. On-off switch. That's kind of maybe when you wear it in, it doesn't. It seems kind of cheesy. Problem is, see, when they do the steels, the choke is so many pieces and parts. It's like, man, that's the first thing that doesn't really work right. Basically, it's simple. See, Huskies are simple, so they're easy to copy. So that's probably why the knockoffs are a little bit easier to work on. They even have the little plate here where the Husqvarna stamp usually is. So, all right, it seems okay that I can't get the oil cap back on for some reason. I don't know if that's me or because it's new. So everything looks very similar. Here's your manual, instructions. I usually throw those back in the box. You got a little thing if you want to mix your own oil and gas. I don't usually use these. You pour oil in there and then gas in here, and then you dump it and mix it. I don't use that. All right, toolkit. Let's see what the toolkit comes with. Oh, you get 2 sets of dogs. You get your scrunch, Allen wrench, smaller than Allen wrench, small screwdriver. Let's go ahead and open these up. You got big dogs, another big set of dogs, and then here's your other set. This is like your, in case your chain flies off, you got that little thing, and then your hardware. There's your hardware. All right, so we're done with that. And I decided to order a 24-inch bar with it separately. So here's that. guess my chain's coming separately, so I won't be able to cut any wood with this today. Give me the chain. Wait a minute. Oh, yeah, it is. There's a chain. I was like, why is this box so heavy? I thought I ordered both. I like ordering the bar and the chain together. That way you make sure. 92 drive lengths, 3/8, 28 inch. 28 inch is a good all-around size, because that way you can cut the bigger stuff, but it still fit in your toolbox. So this, I went with the Neotech. Neotech seems to me like a really good system. They also their saws are pretty nice as well. So I went ahead and upgraded and got the little bit better bar and chain set, just because they seem to be a little higher quality. All right, let's see if we can put this thing together. Okay, these are already loose. We're gonna go ahead and take the cover off and see if we can line up the dogs. So I assume goes like that, and then this goes on the outside here. I wonder if that just comes off every time. And then this goes right here. So let's go ahead and put those on. Those seem to make sense. That seems to be the easiest thing to work out first. This is something you should always have on any saw. And you know what? Is this going to be able to work with that? I think you have to do one or the other. I think you got to take this off. If you want to use that, the bigger dogs, this comes off. You know what? Should we use the bigger dogs and leave this off? So you don't have to put the bigger dogs on if you don't want to. I kind of like the big dogs. So let's assume we like the bigger dogs. Let's go ahead and, there really should be like a lock nut or something. I can see in the future this little thing popping off, so might have to get a wrench or something on here, because I can't hold it. You can only get it so tight. So that goes there. These go in here. You guys probably have to fast forward this so you don't get too bored. Especially after I mess up like 2 or 3 times trying to figure this out. Be like, that doesn't go like that. Feels like that needs to come up underneath there. Yeah. See, I already messed up. I'm already putting it together backwards, upside down. Don't worry, boys, I'll figure it out eventually. All right, so you want to torque these down pretty good. Make sure it's not going to fall apart, at least on the first try. Tight enough to hold it, but not enough to strip it or break it. So what is that pressure? Does it give a, and you probably should not tighten it too tight until you get both screws fastened down a little bit. So I'm gonna back that off. I think this is just, you'll notice some of these threads, these Chinese threads are not really precision. They're just kind of rough cut. So you might have to rebore or maybe run a tap through some of these instead of forcing it and then breaking the nut or bolt, because all this stuff is like not super precise. It's good enough, but it's not like Inspector 12. Okay, that's done. Now, I don't believe there is anything to hold that on the outside, the chain cover. I think it just comes off every time. You just tightens down. I don't know where that little, I don't have a little tiny screw to hold that together, so I'm just gonna wing it unless I lost that little screw. And this thing is not cooperating, so all right, I think I finally got it. It's not cooperating. Make sure you put the teeth on right on the bar. If you don't, just flip the bar and it'll make everything good. I'm gonna put it on supposedly like it's supposed to. I'm gonna go cut some trees for my chiropractor. He had a tree fall and he has a small saw and he's like, you know what? I'm about done doing what I can do. I'm like, well, let me go unwrap this saw real quick and see if I can put it to some good use, do a good deed with it. I don't see the tensioner. Where's the tensioner at? I'm missing the tensioner. Where is the tensioner? We have no tensioner. Oh, the tensioner's over here. Goofy. All right, scared me. Most time the tensioner's on the other side. I'm like, oh my God, don't tell me they didn't put the tensioner. All right. The tensioner is actually in here, but I think it's tensioned all the way out. So you're gonna have to take your screwdriver. See how the tensioner is like all the way on one side? You're gonna have to, this is another thing. Ooh. You want to put a little oil in that tensioner, because a lot of these tensioners are just, they're not the greatest. That's one thing, especially on the steels. Tensioners just, they just aren't quite. That's the first thing I would replace, is the tensioner on these saws. Because they just do not want to cooperate sometimes. And they get into a bind and you keep pressing and forcing it, and then you end up snapping the tensioner. So just be aware, if you can go to your local saw shop and get a good tensioner, you probably be ahead of the game. All right, I think that's about as far as it goes. Maybe a little off. I think that's it. And usually there's a little screw that fastens in there. But we do not have one. So I will have to, when I get my tensioner, I'll see if they have a little screw that attaches to that. All right, now I'm going to attempt to tighten up the tensioner. Hope it doesn't break it. Oh boy, that tensioner is really, really tight for some reason. This is usually where you have problems. That's one of the reasons why. Make sure your tensioner, your chain brake is released before you try to tighten your chain. Oh man, that's just, okay, it's going now. That thing was just super tight. There it goes, it's moving. Good deal. Gotta get it in the track. There it goes. All right. For some reason it keeps jumping on the track. Why is it jumping on a track? Don't cut yourself now. What's going on? The precision on these things is not the best. So I'm going to loosen this up. Might not just be set just right. You're gonna have little issues. Trust me, with these bars and chains, man. They're just not really perfect yet. Attempting to tighten again. I always dread trying to get these to work. Once you run a little bit, work it in, should be all right. Like, they're not precision, so a lot of those little burrs and little imperfections will wear their way out once you run it a little bit. All right, guys, I'm going to take this sucker out and see if I can cut some wood with it, and hopefully it will stay together and work for a little while. This is the equivalent of the 372 XP Husqvarna professional saw. So, like I said, it's not precision. You're gonna have to tighten stuff. You have to work with a little bit. Once you get it set up and running, you're gonna keep having to do a little adjustments. But for 250 bucks, something happens, it gets stolen, broke, or run over, you're not gonna feel so bad. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll leave a link in the description, and stay tuned for some more videos putting this thing to the test. Later.